Go ahead.
We have to talk about the education system, right?
Okay.
Because the educational system is not necessarily to educate, but to train the people to be good workers, right?
Okay.
To accept instructions.
Mm.
And so we're not being educated to be thinkers, right? They don't want dynamic thinkers, right? Thinkers are not good in terms of controlling. And when you're talking about controlling the population of the world and the population of our country. So they don't want us to be educated. In fact, we look at the education in America, it has gone down substantially over the last several decades. And it's still like, it's even worse today than it was when I was a child in school.
Mm.
And so we have to really consider educating our children, even if we have them in public schools. There is a time when they are outside of schools that as parents, we have to be, and grandparents and aunts and uncles, we have to be investing time in our children because they are our future,
Absolutely.
right? These children who are in high school today, we have a lot of children today who cannot read at grade level. They will in a few years be the workers,
Mm.
right? These are the ones that we will, as we age, we will have to depend on them as a society,
Mm.
right? So it's going to be advantageous for us to invest now, right? Consider these things now so that 10, 20, 50 years from now, when we're old and cannot provide for ourselves, we have an adequate population who can do so.
Speaking of the education system, I'm going to have a special guest tomorrow who has educated her son from the time he was in her womb. And when the child came out, well, the child in her womb told her what his name was going to be. So when she delivered the child, she had the child and named it exactly what the child told her in a dream. And she started educating him actually from the womb and then afterwards. And the child now is 8 and has skipped 2 grades in school and could skip more, but they won't allow for it. He's a brilliant child. And I asked her to come on my show tomorrow morning to discuss the importance of educating your own children. So I thank you for even mentioning that. And maybe briefly, you can talk about your own educational experience and how your family, not only you had experience in public schools, what that was like, and then your family brought you out of public schools, right? But
Yes,
before you do
absolutely.
that, I just want to tell the family, if you're enjoying the show and you appreciate Dexter Lattimore, who is an economist, world traveler, speaker, author, and he was actually mentored by Malcolm X's eldest daughter. Is it Atala Shabazz?
Yes.
We just call
Atala Shabazz. Uh-huh.
her, huh? What is it?
Atala Shabazz.
I call her Shabazz, but I call her Ambassador Shabazz or Sis. If you're interested in supporting this work, then this is something I do for all of my guests. You can kindly send a blessing or support donation to Cash App Dex Lattimore, Cash App DEXLATTIMORE. And he'd appreciate that. And then when he writes his book, we'll bring him back on as well to talk to us about global economics, and et cetera. So Dexter, your educational experience, what was that like?
Yes. So I was very fortunate to grow up in the family that I come from. When we were being born, my aunt, my father's sister, created first a daycare,
Good.
right? She had a degree in business as well, right? She had a master's degree in business. And so she said that since we are having children, I'm going to create a daycare and I will make sure to take care of our children. And then also, she hired the family uh, in order to take care of the children. As we got older, she said, well, the children are now out of daycare. Some of them are out of daycare age. I'm going to found a school. So she created a school for us, right? Student Aspect Preparatory School was the
Yeah.
name of our school.
And we had a
So
creed at the school too. Go ahead.
oh yeah, The Creed by Marva Collins. Yes. This is actually the foundation for me in terms of my education in Pan African Studies history, because a lot of the things that I learned I'll say I learned in college. I had gained a lot of that information in my aunt's school, our Aunt Darlene. So,
And wait a minute. And what was the book? The one of the first books you read at 8 years old at her school? And I'll be quiet.
no, I got to remember what Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep.
Yes.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Yes. Because again, I was seeing as a family two different dynamics.
Okay.
All right. I was seeing entrepreneurship and creation, but I was also seeing the other side where money was not being held and being passed down generationally. So I said, okay, what's the difference in these dynamics? And so as a child, I was at Aunt Darlene's house and Uncle David's house at the time. And I believe Uncle David had the book. And so I picked it up, inquiring. And so he told me to take the book.
Mm-hmm. And
so
you were
eight.
Were you eight? I thought.
8 or 9. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So yeah, it was information that intrigued me. Be also, at the time, my father, he taught us music. He taught us how to play instruments. So by 10 years old, I was making money, as a musician. But I didn't want to blow my money even as a child. I said, okay, what can I buy? How can I use this money to help the family, to help my own situation, right? So when I would buy clothes, I didn't buy Jordans, right? Because I said, I'm gonna buy my own shoes, but they're not gonna be Jordans. I can't afford that. And I'm not gonna spend all my money on one pair of shoes, right? So I started early, bargain shopping, right? I don't want, if I see a pair of shoes at $69 and then I see a sale at the same store that says 2 for $69, I want the 2 for $69 or 2 for $79, right? I'll take that deal. At the time I would go to Foot Locker. They'll have t-shirts 4 for $20. Well, I can buy one shirt with a logo for $25, or I can buy 4 or 5 regular shirts for $20, right? These principles are what led me to down the road to becoming the man that I am today, right? And this is the reason why I often stress the importance of budgeting, right? A lot of people don't know where their money goes at the end of pay, the pay period. And so I advise your viewers to write up a budget, right? First, write how much you make.
Okay.
And then write down all of your expenditures, what all your expenses are, and include everything. Be honest with yourself, right? So that you can look and analyze and understand exactly where your money is going, to the cent, to the dollar, as specific as possible you want to be when writing this, right? That's check number 1.
Okay.
Right? On the second check, 2 weeks later, you get paid. Do the same thing. All right. Do it for several checks, because you want to really analyze, because the first time you write it, it's an estimate. The second time you write it, you're getting more information and you're actually observing every time you spend. All right. And the longer you do this, the more you do this, each check that you do this with, you're going to even be hesitant about spending. You're going to say, I want to hold that $20, right? And this is how you learn to invest, right? You have to save your money first before you can invest, right? But if you can find $1 there, $10 there, it actually adds up, and it can add up fast, right? So again, budget your money, because you will find that it helps, right? It helps to have a savings, right? Back in our grandmother's days, they would say they would have a rainy day fund. Today in America, over half of the population doesn't have $1,000.
Yeah. Wow.
After their bills. That's a problem, right? Because Many of us are one sickness or one heartache, one problem away, one bill away from a domino effect happening in our financial lives. And this is how a lot of people end up homeless today, right? One bill. First is the electricity, right? It's winter, it's cold, electricity goes up. Well, everybody's living paycheck to paycheck today, right? So if that bill goes up $50, your job is not going to give you 5 extra hours so that you can cover that bill. So then it goes from the electricity to then the food, right? If you have food in your refrigerator, if your electricity gets cut off, all that food goes bad, right? And then the gas, right? You got to afford gas to go to work.
Yeah.
All of this is a cascading effect. Then it hits your rent. You're late on rent. Once you're late on rent, it's hard to catch up. And a lot of people now are, again, living in their cars because these things happen, right? And if you're not preparing for worst case scenarios, then should it happen, you're unprepared. And you're just going to reap whatever the consequences are, right? In life, I often say, life is really simple. For me, this is the way I look at it, my perspective. Decisions, consequences.
Okay.
That's it. Whatever decisions you make in life, there will be consequences. Not acting is acting, right? Not making a decision is a decision. And so when whatever happens to you happens, if you're unprepared because you didn't make a choice or a decision, you said, I'm going to sit on my hands, well, life will hit. Right. This is the reason why I say invest in yourself. Right. Education. A few people told me growing up when I was in college, they said, go ahead and get your degree. Right. Because 5 years from now, you'll be 25, degree or not. If you use your degree, no problem. If you don't use your degree, you can put it in your back pocket, may never need it. But you'll be 25 one day. You'll be 35. You'll be 50, right? But if you don't prepare, if you don't plan and strategize, then when it comes, it'll come and go and it will hit you over the head. And life is not always gracious, right? Again, we're living in the time of the collapse of an empire. So times are hard now. We should expect and prepare for times to be harder. It's great to want and to expect that things will get better, and one day they will, but we don't know when it will happen.